Hello, I'm Gretchen with Healing from Within with Cancer. Thanks for joining me today. Today, I'm going to talk about all the things that were transpiring in my life the ups, the downs, the supplements that I was taking that I wasn't 100% sure I was on par with everything, the testing that I was doing through my surgeon. Were they working? Did I need to do all of these things? Because as I spoke about in my last video, I was doing 22 of them and a day, and I wasn't sure that everything was working. When I was just grasping at straws and pulling from everything and trying to figure out anything that was anti-cancer or cancer fighting. I was totally on board with, to take and to try. So now I started leveling out things because, I had gone through my 3 month and my 6 month testing, my blood work, and also, the physical checkups that I was doing, and everything was working very well. Once again, I chose not to do the colostomy bag. So that was like a concern of my surgeons to make sure that I was healing properly inside, because he really didn't do this type of procedure where somebody had requested, hey, listen, you're just going to put me back together again, and the body's going to do its thing. And I can say that, that there were, ups and downs with that. I learned, what I could and couldn't eat at that particular time. And not always the easiest trial and error that I was doing, because I paid dearly a number of times when I thought, oh, I can eat this, and it'll digest properly, and it didn't. And then of course, I'm sick, and I'm not feeling well, and it was just not a good it was just not a good combination at that time. So once again, I was kind of pushing the body to, do things that maybe I was pushing a little bit too hard, because as I had stated previously, that, I had been through a number of surgeries. So I'm like, yeah, I can get back, back in the game, and all is going to be well. Well, this was quite a bit different, and it wasn't your standard surgery. So unfortunately, the body was not doing the things that I thought it was going to be doing with my last surgeries. But I want to move into my supplements once again that I was taking and that I kind of pulled back from, and also the diet that I decided that that was probably going to be best for me. With trial and error, unfortunately, with a lot of foods, and then the personal things that were going on in my life, my work life, my personal life, my children, all of these things, my friends, all of these things that have a huge impact on people when they're healing. And we don't realize, what can be toxic around us. It just doesn't have to be the foods that we're taking in, or whatever the case may be. So I realized that, unfortunately, I had to stay laser focused in on a lot of things that were not so great in my life, to not bring that negativity back into where I was trying to stay focused, and just kind of tunnel vision at that point. So, and the first thing that I can say is that when we think about our relationships, we think that everybody's there to support us, right? Some people do, some people don't. I myself had a lot of people questioning the way that I was doing things, and the support wasn't 100% there. They understood it, but they didn't agree with it. And so I definitely had a number of people saying, are you sure you're doing the right thing? Are you sure this is going to be okay? Are you sure? And to be quite honest with you, you can never be 100% sure, but you feel it within your soul that you're doing the right thing for yourself. And I knew that just every day there was something else that I would look into and try to understand to help heal myself. And so if I can advocate anything, it's research, research, research. And it's sometimes you really have to dig in order to find, a lot of the answers that you're looking for, because unfortunately, there's a lot of things that have been taken off of the internet. And so you have to kind of dig a little bit deeper into the things that we think are out there, but they're not. One thing that I did stumble across while I was going through my healing process, which has now been removed from a lot of platforms, is a documentary about the truth about cancer. And I learned so many different things from there. And there was a number of doctors and physicians and people that have dealt with cancer, themselves, and the avenues that they had sought. Um, it was definitely eye-opening, to say the least, because there were so many testimonies of, there was a woman that was talking about pancreatic cancer. Well, we all know that that is like not a good thing to have at all. And not a lot of people recover from that. But she ended up doing it 40 years, I believe it was. And she just took the bull by the horns, kind of like I did, and said, no, no more. I listened to the doctors, and I'm going to do things my way, because you are not bringing me the results that I'm looking for. That was an amazing testimony. If you get the chance, like I said, look it up. It's normally not on the platforms that, we look into, but keep searching, because you will find it. And it's just enlightening, to say the least, on what's out there alternatively, and what we are not being told so by the medical profession that you can find. But if I can advocate anything, that just brought a lot of light to a lot of things that were going on right there at that time for me. I wish I would have found it sooner. I wish I would have found it previous to my surgery, to help me out with understanding things a lot more. But I didn't. I found it when I was supposed to find it, I guess. And it just enlightened me with the way that I wanted to approach a lot more things as I was healing. And so if you do get the opportunity, definitely look into that, because it will enlighten you on a lot of avenues that I wish I would have found. So anyway, getting back to my diet, that was, that's crucial. You want to keep your sugars low. And I mean, I can't say that we take everything out of it, because our body does still need sugar, but find the good ones. Find the clean ones. I'm talking about local honeys. And I believe it's called stevia or something along those lines. It's a natural sugar, and it's not a sweetener or one of the chemicals. It's all natural. And what else do I don't use it for cooking. I tried a couple things. I just was not real keen on it, but other people may like it. I'm just here to say that you can buy it in bulk, and I like it in my coffee. And if I'm going to sweeten up some bitter strawberries or something like that, I just sprinkle a little bit on there. But other than that, I'm just not. I try to stay away from as much as I possibly can. The regular granulated sugar, that's just toxic to our body. While I was healing, I really stayed away from all of the baked goods, and I still do. And my body became adapted to not having all these processed sugars in my body. So when I do, it's like little portions. And when I say little, it's literally like a scoop, a bite. And but just enough to satisfy that craving, and I savor that one bite, and then I'm good. And I know I've talked about my daughter giving me a bite of a cake or a cookie in my past videos, and that's literally what I've stayed on, because it's just when you remove a lot of things out of your everyday life, well, your body becomes accustomed to that, and then when you bring something back into it, it doesn't always react the same way that we think that it's going to. And it just isn't always a great outcome. You get a stomach ache, and things aren't processing properly, and so on and so forth. So I'm a huge advocate of keeping, your sugars very, very low, and continuing that. I'm just not saying about just doing it, initially, because now it's a lifestyle change. And I was a huge chocoholic. I can honestly admit that. And that was probably harder than anything that I had to do, was, taking away my chocolate candy bars. But I realized that, that was toxic to me, and there's just not a lot of good things in there. So I tried moving more towards the dark chocolate, but I'm not a fond lover of that either, because it doesn't have a lot of sugar in it. And it doesn't satisfy like I was looking for. So I kind of just eliminated a lot of things out of my diet that, just weren't going to serve me in this healing process. And sugar obviously was one of them. But moving on from that, I also realized that the Mediterranean diet, and I'm not strict about it. I don't believe in, making a regimen, because I'm not overweight, and I'm not dealing with, weight issues. So I just found that I adapted to, which I had eaten a long time ago anyway, and didn't even realize, why I, chose this. Well, I know why I chose it, is because it was all the things that I was eating. And so I just kind of ramped it up a little bit more than, I was in the past. And Kalamata olives, and the dark greens. I'm not a huge lover of feta cheese, but, if you get it fresh, from a market that sells a lot of Mediterranean foods, it is better. So yeah, and I'm a cheese lover too. And a lot of people say stay away from the cheese, stay away from, a lot of different things. But I just found that, just sprinkling a little bit on, I used more of, I want to say Gorgonzola cheese, because I like that better. And so I just limited that on my salads. But yeah, a lot of, the roasted red peppers, hummus. I found, like, a gazillion of those, flavors out there. And really started just, zeroing in hard boiled eggs. I made a lot of hard boiled eggs. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, the cholesterol. Well, if you look into it more, it's not a bad thing. Um, and that's, of course, what I did. I wasn't concerned about my cholesterol or anything like that. Those were levels that were just not, a concern of mine. And just in, making sure that I was introducing all of these wonderful things into my diet. And if you remember in I believe it was my last video, or one of the videos, I had talked about eggplant, which I absolutely love, but it's either the seeds or the skin, and I can't figure out which one, but they were not friendly to me initially when I was first out of surgery. Now I can do small portions of eggplant, but it's still one of those that I got to be very careful with, and but still love, and it's very healthy for you. Excuse me. So it's you got to find your niche, right? Everybody has it. And for whatever reason, I could do cucumbers, but I can't, with the skin on. But I can't do eggplant, and I just don't understand that, but it's okay. A lot of salads, eating salmon, and some people are going to be like, ew, that, I don't like that. But, fresh salmon, not the stuff that, is from the farms. You really, really want to take into consideration where your food is coming from, because it does have a lot of pollutants. The bottom feeders, a lot of people like, shellfish, and stay away from the bottom feeders. and they don't realize, what kind of pollutants are unfortunately in that kind of food. So, a lot of nice fishes. I did do tuna fish, and I incorporated that into a number of my salads. Chicken. I end up grilling a lot of chicken, marinating it in, some nice olive oil with some herbs and spices, and grilling that. Just keeping everything, in check with, where the Mediterranean diet kind of takes you. I'm not a fan of lamb, but they do eat a lot of lamb, and so I kind of just do a little bit here and a little bit there if I want a red meat, when it comes to the Mediterranean. But I also did a little bit of keto because I am a red meat eater as well. I keep that though to a minimum. It's not good really for anybody, but especially in this healing process, you just don't, want to, just bombard your body with a lot of foods that it can't process. And even though we know that salads are very healthy for us, the dark greens, the field mix, and spinach, and so on and so forth, our body takes a little bit of time to break these things down and to, process them. So just, be careful and mindful of a lot of these things that you're doing while you're healing your body, and understanding that not everything processes the same way that it used to, post surgery. And, but I find it very refreshing, to add a lot of fruits and vegetables into my diet that are very satisfying. And that was something that really helped me to get along, because it stopped with the cravings. Because I found, in season blueberries, they're fabulous for you, filled with antioxidants, and just, really good for you. I'd incorporate those into the salads, along with some pineapple and some strawberries, some fresh strawberries, and a lot of, my own homemade dressings, because extra virgin olive oil is very healthy for you. I don't use anything else. And even when I cook, if I'm doing something that requires some, where you're pan frying something, I make sure that don't get the oil too hot, because it takes out all the nutrients, and only use that in salad dressings, and cooking with, and even when I'm, baking something that needs oil, it's always extra virgin olive oil. I don't use anything else. A lot of people use coconut oil, which is fabulous. That's also a very good thing to use. So those are the things that I stayed on par with when it came to my diet. I did mention that I do a little, I introduced a little bit of keto into it, because I do like the red meats, but I really stayed away from a lot of the carbs as well, because if you, do any research, that carbs break down into sugar, and you're trying to keep the sugars out of your body right now. And that is crucial, because cancer cells love sugar. Hence the reason that when you do go in for testing for cancer, no matter which, no matter what cancer it is, they light you up, like a light bulb, with, the things that they, whether you're drinking it, or they're injecting it into you. It's basically sugar based, so they can see where the cancer cells are flocking to, and where they're at. You don't want to add any more fuel to the cancer cells fires. So that's why I say that keep those low, keep your carbs low. I found rye bread. There's a number of them out there that do not have sugar in them, and we still need carbs, right? But find the healthy ones. And I think sourdough bread's the other one. That's it. Sourdough bread is another one. If I'm a lover of carbs, unfortunately. So, but once again, keeping that to a bare minimum. And if you want to introduce a little bit, those would be the two that I would say, are going to be, acceptable, I guess, is the best term that I can use uh, for eating something like that. But once again, small portions, just to satisfy and to keep the carbs going. I don't do a lot of rices or anything any longer. They're very starchy. They're filled with carbs. So just be mindful of a lot of those things that you're intaking. So if I could give you a bit of advice on diet, it's a little bit of keto here, lots of vegetables with the keto, which I love, and but of course they watch with which vegetables, because carrots can be very high when they break down into sugar as well, so got to be mindful of that. And certain meats, the fats that they use in keto is a lot of butter and olive oil. So I would definitely say stay with those if you're going to use a fat when you're doing salad dressings or cooking or what have you. And then obviously the Mediterranean, once again, they use a lot of olive oil. And those are the things that I combine together to stay healthy. I felt that was the best route that I could take. And once again, introducing foods gradually back into my diet to know where I could be at. And everybody's journey is different. And some people can go back to, pretty much so eating anything. God bless you on that one. I wish I was that person, but I was not. And so that's where, for people that are in my position, that's why I want to let you know about where I was at with that. And then, just little steps here and there. And I know it can be frustrating. And, if you want to have those mashed potatoes because you're craving them, have a small portion. Don't think that you can't not eat that, but just do things in moderation. And I've always preached that to anybody. Everything in moderation, but unfortunately the sugar avenue, the carb avenue, I keep to a very small minimum, when it comes to bringing those into my body. But then I move on to what was going on personally in my life, and that was very difficult because I was in a very toxic work environment, and that was very difficult for me because they were literally calling me back to work shortly after I had gotten out of surgery, and they're like, when is your doctor going to release you? Well, guess what? I'm supposed to be recovering for 8 weeks, but no, I can't come back into the office at that time, and you have to stand your ground on that, because a lot of people just don't value your life like you do. And I had to stand my ground, because honestly I knew if I was going to push myself back into running around all day long, running to the office, running to clients off, how offices and so on and so forth, it was something that I knew I was going to just put myself behind the eight ball. And so stand your ground. Don't allow people to push you around. When your body needs to heal, it needs to heal, and running around is not the best thing at this time while you're recovering. So I did work at home, and that was something that unfortunately they didn't understand, that a lot of people can work remotely. And I know over the past couple of years a lot of people did turn to remote working, but this company that I was with did not understand that concept, and it was very bizarre to me. So anyway, I mean, I had worked remote in a number of different positions long before remote was remote. And I don't know, I guess there was this trust factor that they didn't trust their employees. So just remember that these are things that you need to take, into consideration when you are working for an organization. Sometimes they can pollute your mindset while you're trying to heal and trying to stay focused. Don't allow that to happen. Just kind of, do the bare minimum and ignore the rest. And because you have to stay focused and positive. And you don't need a lot of toxicity from, outside sources coming in and clouding where you're going in this journey. And then, of course, I had an on again, off again, in and out personal relationship, and not sure where that was going at that particular time, but very hard, very, very difficult to deal with in that time, time frame, because you can't go down those roads right now. It's not a good thing while you're recovering. You just have to stay focused on positivity. Nothing negative is going to work in your favor when it comes to healing. The mind is a very, very powerful thing. And when I say that you really, truly need to stay laser focused on healing yourself, that means eliminating all, whether it's friends, whether it's family members, whether it's a spouse, whether it's your work relationships, you keep all of that out or at a very bare minimum. If you can't remove yourself from the situation 100%, you need to just stay focused on you, because it is all about you right now. Because guess what, nobody else is going to heal you. You have to do this yourself. And a lot of people don't understand your journey when you're doing things alternatively, so they're going to pollute you with other things that they think are better for you. And maybe there are some options that are good. I'm not saying that other things don't work for people, because there's a lot of options out there that I didn't know were available at the time I was going through this. And so what works for one person isn't always going to work for somebody else. So when you're figuring out what's working for your body, stay laser focused on that. But the main thing that I'm telling you is to keep the negativity out of your life, because that just pollutes our thought process, that pollutes our body. We start stressing out. What does cancer love? Cancer loves stress too. It feeds on our stress. So that's another thing that you need to be very conscious about, is if you're in a highly stressed lifestyle or environment, you need to keep those down to a very bare minimum, because that's not going to help you with anything, moving forward. And why do you want to pollute yourself, your mind, and your thought process with things that are negative, when you're taking this road of positivity and health and wellness, that you just you're doing a better version of yourself now, right? And that's why I say keep this stuff out. It does not need to be in your life whatsoever. So those are things that I really hope that you heed to while you're in this journey, whether it's somebody that, if you're watching this video for a loved one, remember that these people cannot go through, I mean, hearing cancer and dealing with cancer is stressful enough. They don't need other stresses brought into their life for, because you're having a bad day and you want to take it out on your loved one because you've had enough, because they're not recovering as quick as you want them to, or you don't believe in the things that they're doing. Don't do that to people. Don't. Stay positive, be positive, be a cheerleader for other people. If this is, you're watching this video for somebody else, or and if you're in this position, then just stay positive. In my next video, I am going to take a journey down the road of challenging a lot of the things that once upon a time the medical industry really wanted you to believe in, and bringing it to the table with my surgeon, and him confessing, obviously, to me where he wished that he was at in his process when he was dealing with it personally with a loved one as well. And once again, reiterating the supplements and the positivity, and taking things to just a whole different level in your life and staying positive. And also what other avenues I did to stay laser focused by manifesting, by praying, by projecting positivity, that was going to come back, because we are an energy, and whatever we put out there comes back to us. So these are things that I will talk about in my next video, that I did and I still do today to stay positive and to live an abundant lifestyle that once upon a time wasn't going to be there for me. So I hope you join me. But until then, I hope that you like this video and share it and subscribe if you really are truly enjoying the videos that I'm producing. Until next time, have a great day.